Hi all, my name is Emily Saffel and I'll be your teacher today. So we're just going to be talking about a couple of things today. Budgeting and food substitutes. Now who here has heard of that? Has anybody heard of budgeting? Gotcha. Has anybody heard of food substitutes? Alrighty. So let's go ahead and dive in. On today's agenda, we've got budgeting. We're going to learn more about that. We're going to be learning about nutrient-friendly substitutes. We're going to learn about combining budgeting and food substitutes together. And then at the end of this presentation, you're going to be given the opportunity to show what you know. So who here has a favorite food? What is it? Nice, nice. Well, I also have a favorite food, and that happens to be cream of chicken and rice. Corn and good old rice. So you're like, Emily, what's a good substitute for that? Let's see a good substitute for that. And this is just to give you a little idea of what we're looking at today. So the way that I could substitute in this is by doing low sodium cream of mushroom. Cream of mushroom doesn't have a crazy amount of sodium, but it's still got a good chunk. So that's one way that I could substitute. I could also do shucked corn, do corn on the cob, cook it in the oven. Instead of just doing canned corn, which canned corn isn't bad for you either, but it's still a good substitute. Alrighty, so let's just jump into budgeting. Does anyone here use a budget? Okay. So first we're going to start off with, what is a budget? A budget is a plan for managing income and expenses over a specific period of time. It helps us track how much money is coming in, how much is being spent or saved, so going out. So can anyone tell me why budgeting is important? Heard. So let's look at the definition that I've got up here of why budgeting is important. Well, we know that budgeting is important because budgeting is the process of creating a plan for how you will earn, spend, and save money over a certain period. It helps you manage your finances, avoid overspending, and work towards financial goals like saving, like paying off debt, or investing. So a couple things that I want us to really focus on here is a certain period. And earlier, in the last slide, let's see if I can get it, track how much money is spent in, specific period of time. So, budget is really important for monitoring a time period. We have a lot of life change that happens. So let's say that this budget is specifically for a month. Let's say it's for a week. Let's say it's for a year. It will differ. It will not stay the same your entire life unless you have the same job, same income, same expenses for the rest of your life. But there is a lot of life change. And so that is kind of why budgeting is important as well, just so it tracks your money over an extended period of time or whatever time period you're in your life. Main things I want you to look at is that it avoids overspending, works towards your financial goals, which you should have financial goals. And some of those are saving. Let's say you're saving for college. Let's say you're paying off debt. That helps you track paying off debt to make sure that you're paying off debt in a decent amount of time, or even investing. So yeah, do we have any questions about why budgeting is important? You want me to go a little more in depth about budgeting? Okay. So let's look at how to budget. So just like anything, there's a lot of methods to it, and not every method works for everyone. So we'll start off with Excel sheet. Does anybody know what Excel is? Have we used it before? Okay, so Excel is just a digital format that is basically a sheet. You can do a formula in it, so as you enter your funds, as you enter your expenses, it kind of just tracks all that for you, monitoring just where your money is going, how much your expenses end up costing you, and just how much you have left to spend based off of your income. Me personally, I like to use Google Sheets, which is very, very similar to Excel. It's just a little more simplified, if I do say so myself. So these are kind of our more digital person, if you're more of a digital person, these are the two things that you'll use. It's just easy to track, pull out your phone and look at. Some people also use personal budgeters or personal financiers. Have somebody else create the budget for you. This is all their suggestions based off of the information that you give them. So based off your expenses, based off of your savings, based off your goal of what you want to do. So those are really good materials and resources if you want to use that as well. And then there's the old-fashioned way of simply just writing it down. Whether it's using a template, whether it's just a piece of paper that you're tracking where everything is going. Now it is a little bit harder just because it's not automated and you do have to remember to track every single little thing. But like I said, these are the two methods if you're not a digital person. So yeah, does anybody have any questions about that? Okay, awesome. Alrighty. So here's some visuals of that. Here's that template I was talking about. Shows your income, shows your expenses. You got savings down here, monthly budget. Like I said, it's just a little bit harder to track just because it's not automated, but it's not terrible at all. And then we've got the online version. This is kind of what it looks like. On this side, it shows just all the things that you may be spending, or all your expenses on this side. You've got your income up top, you've got your debts, and you've got your savings right here. It accounts for all of that. Really super easy. That's what I recommend to you. But like I said, not every method works for everybody. Does anybody have any questions? Which method would y'all use? If you're not already using a budget, which method would y'all be interested in? Right, okay, cool. Love to hear it. So let's look at some real world examples. Budgets aren't just something that I'm showing you on the screen. It's actually used in day-to-day life. It's not just a suggestion as well. It's something that I greatly advise you to do. So let's look at Maria, who is budgeting, and I'll read it out loud to you. So Maria is a college student who works part-time and earns $800 a month. At the start of each month, she creates a budget. $400 goes to rent, $100 for groceries, $60 for transportation, and $100 for school supplies and phone bills. She saves the remaining $140 for emergencies and future expenses. By budgeting, Maria avoids running out of money and stays on track with her goals. Okay, so Maria knows where her money is going. She knows where it's going out. She knows what's coming in. She's tracking her emergencies. She's planning for emergencies. And she's got her savings. She knows where it's going for savings. She has a financial goal, and that's to save up for college. She just knows all her expenses. So that's Maria who budgets, and that's a great example. And then we're going to look at Jake, who's not budgeting. So Jake works full time and gets paid every 2 weeks, but he doesn't track his spending. He often eats out, buys new clothes, and subscribes to multiple streaming services without even thinking about the cost. By the end of the month, he's surprised to see his bank account has nearly emptied, and he struggles to cover unexpected expenses like car repairs, okay? Without a budget, Jake feels stressed and unsure where his money is going. So between the two, we can see that Maria's got it planned out, she's got it mapped out, and Jake has this issue where he doesn't know where his money's at. He's got this expense he can't pay because he doesn't have the money in his savings. He doesn't know where his money is going, and he isn't keeping track of what he's spending it on, or how much he is spending. So Maria, stress-free. We got Jake, who's a little more stressed, okay? So this is just an important real-world example of budgeting and why it is important to use in your life. Okay, do we have any questions over budgeting? Perfect. Okay, so next we're going to move into the next bit of our lesson today, and that's nutrient-friendly/dense. So let's look at what that means. So what does it mean to be nutrient-dense/friendly? Can anybody tell me? Okay, so it means a food is high in vitamins, it's high in minerals, and it has a bunch of other beneficial nutrients relative to its calories. So nutrient-friendly foods support overall health by providing more nutrition without excess sugar, without excess fat, and definitely avoiding empty calories, okay? So we like our high nutrient foods, we like our friendly foods, we like our dense foods, okay? So why is it important to substitute items in a recipe? So substitute is just replacing an ingredient within a recipe, and we're looking at doing that with nutrient dense items. So substituting items in a recipe is very important to meet dietary needs. Some people have allergies, some people have specific health goals, and some people, just when certain ingredients aren't available to them, will just substitute. It also helps make recipes more nutritious, budget friendly, and suitable for personal tastes and lifestyle choices. So substituting can be done for a whole plethora of things, and it has a bunch of beneficial, just benefits. So yeah. So let's look at some of the common substitutes that we have. So sugar, we love sugar. Sugar is a common ingredient in most recipes. So some substitutes for that is honey, which I personally have used honey before as a sugar substitute. I can't tell that major of a difference. We've got maple syrup, I've also used that, agave nectar, coconut sugar. And then we've got our flour substitutes, again another common ingredient. We've got buckwheat, oat flour, almond flour, whole wheat. I've tasted buckwheat, that's personally my favorite out of the substitutions here. Have y'all tried any of those before? No? Okay, heard. So we've got some sodium substitutes. A big suggestion is just to use different herbs and spices besides adding just salt and pepper to it. Just so you still get that flavor, but it's not as dense in sodium. We've got acidic ingredients, and that's like lemons and stuff, limes, aromatics like ginger. And then for our oil substitutes, we have broth, we have applesauce, nut butters, avocado oil. I have used applesauce as well to make a muffin. It was still really good. They're yummy. Is there any of these that y'all would try, or have y'all tried any of these on the screen? Okay, great. Gotcha. Well, like I said, you know my suggestions. So let's take a second and look at the pros and cons. So just like anything, substituting, there's going to be pros and cons. So let's start with the pros. We want to know the benefits of it. So improved nutrition, we talked about that. Nutrient friendly, nutrient dense, and it supports a variety of diets. Reduced processed ingredients, promotes satiety. So satiety is when you don't feel as hungry as fast, okay? So you're not snacking a bunch, and this happens when we do nutrient dense ingredients in our recipes. So it promotes that. We love when it's reducing processed ingredients, okay? We want the natural stuff, we want the good for us stuff. And it supports a variety of diets, which not everybody has the same diet. Everybody has a specific need. And then improved nutrition, I think that speaks for itself. Cons, texture and taste change. You're substituting. It's not going to taste the same as it would if you use the normal ingredients. A lot of recipes change is needed. So, once again, you are substituting something. The rest of the recipe is going to have to accommodate for that ingredient change. You may have to use less of an ingredient. You may have to use more of an ingredient. It's just an adjustment. Nothing crazy. Cost. Sometimes healthier items are a little bit more pricier than a processed item. The shelf life lessens, so it's not going to stay as good as long. And then there is an issue with ingredient availability. You may not always be able to find the ingredient that you are substituting in. Okay? Do we have any questions over the pros and cons? Alrighty. So let's combine them together. We got budgeting, we got our nutrient dense substitutions. What does it look like to put them together? So, gonna start off. Let's say we're planning a meal for a week and we want to replace our sugar with honey. Let's take a look at that. I'm on a budget. So normally sugar is $3.46. Okay, that's fine. Not terrible. That's for 4 pounds. So I'm trying to substitute my sugar, and I want to use honey as my substitution. My honey is $3.74, but that's only for 12 ounces. So I have to use a lot of honey, or a good chunk of honey, to kind of accommodate for that sweetness level, or that substitution in that granulated sugar. The issue comes down to price. I'm getting a lot more for $3.46 than I would be getting for $3.74 for my honey. So that's where it comes down to. We're on a budget. We're looking at these things. We're looking at the options, and we're seeing what we can do within our budget to make those substitutions. So yeah, if you don't use a lot of sugar, absolutely get that. Absolutely get that. But that's just the thing that we are looking for when it comes to substituting and being on a budget. Okay, so once again, how do they work together? Budgeting and nutrient substitutions work together by helping you make healthier food choices without overspending. When you plan your spending, you can prioritize by buying nutrient-dense ingredients like whole grains or natural sweeteners, while finding affordable alternatives that fit your budget. This balance allows you to eat nutritious meals, reduce waste, and save money over time, okay? So we like that. Do we have any questions about that? No? Heard. So if we don't have any questions, we're going to go ahead and step into our review. Alrighty. Let's see. So we talked about what a budget is. Plan for managing income, seeing where our expenses are going, where they're coming in, how they're being saved, okay? And remember, that's over a period of time. Why is it important? So remember, creating a plan. The plan, very important for how you spend your money, getting towards your financial goal over a certain amount of time, paying off debt, saving for college, all of that fun stuff, investing. That's what we want to see. So that's why budgeting is important. What does it mean to be nutrient dense friendly? We're staying away from empty calories, staying away from excess sugar and fat and all that stuff. We want those fibers, we want our vitamins, we want our minerals, and those are foods that are high in that. So why is it important to substitute items in a recipe? Like we had mentioned, it meets allergies, health goals, dietary needs, even a good replacement when other ingredients aren't available. So it's nutritious, it can be budget friendly, and suitable for personal taste and lifestyle choices. Alrighty. How they work together, we just talked about this. Saving you money while still eating nutritious. So, if we don't have any questions, I'm going to give you the opportunity to show what you know. So let's take a look real quick. So my plan for you today is you're going to make a meal plan for a whole week for a family. And I'll show you here in a second. This is the template that you'll be using. Nothing crazy. It shows you your days. It shows you a shopping list. It shows you breakfast ideas, lunch ideas. I will accept leftovers because I want this to be as realistic as possible. And some days you're just going to eat leftovers. So yeah. So you're making a meal plan. Now you're making a meal plan based off of one of these choices. I'm allowing you to choose just so you can test yourself. We can do it for a family of 4 with a budget of $175. Family of 3 with a budget of $125. Family of 2 with a budget of $100. And a family of 1 with a budget of $75. So, making that meal plan based off of one of these. And at the top of your paper, I'll go back. I want you to write right here which one you chose. If you don't have that, you will be counted off. But yeah, if y'all don't have any questions about that, I'm excited to see what you do. I will post these in the resource that y'all are able to see them, just to go back, look through that information. But if y'all don't have any more questions for me, y'all got this. You're going to do great. It's just a fun activity. Show what you know. But yeah, thank you.